The general elections 2024 in India will be held in 7 phases. The date of the polls is 19th of April. Polling for phase 2 will be held on 26th of April.
We'll do it in 7 phases, as was done last time. 7 phases. Phase 1 will start from 20th March notification, 5 days from now. And last date of withdrawal would be 30th March and date of poll would be 19th of April. Second phase, notification will start on 28th of March and date of poll will be 26th of April. Phase 3 would be from 12th of April and date of poll will be 7th of May. Fourth phase में 18th April को गजट नोटिफिकेशन होगा और डेट ऑफ पोलिंग वुड बी 13th of May. फिफ्थ फेज 26 अप्रैल से शुरू होगी और 20 मई तक चलेगी. 20 मई तक डेट ऑफ पोल होगी. फेज सिक्स्थ में 57 constituencies will go to the poll starting from the gazette notification on 29th of April and finishing on 25th of May 2024. Last phase, 7th phase, notification will be on 7th of May and polling on 1st of June. Date of counting in the entire country would be 4th of June for all by-elections, for the assembly elections, for the parliamentary elections.
The Election Commission of India elucidated the rationale behind holding the election across 7 phases, emphasizing its aim to facilitate seamless deployment of security forces and electoral infrastructure, while also taking into account various holidays and festive occasions.
Security forces का movement कभी सोच के देखिए. They'll be moving like within 3 to 4 days between the gap in the phases. They will move. They will walk length and breadth of the country. उनके ऊपर प्रेशर कभी देखिए कितना होता होगा. कभी इलेक्शन मशीनरी की पूरी प्रोसेस, कभी एग्जाम्स, कभी फेस्टिवल्स, होली, रमजान, रामनवमी, पता नहीं क्या क्या फेस्टिवल्स बीच में. जब कैलेंडर पे हम लेके बैठते हैं तो एक डेट फिक्स करते हैं, दूसरे में चली जाती है, दूसरे फिक्स करते हैं, कहीं प्रॉब्लम आ जाती है. हम किसी को फेवर करने के लिए, किसी को नुकसान करने के लिए कोई भी एक्शन नहीं लेते.
And DD India correspondent Anil Thomas joins us from New Delhi with more updates. Anil, with 970 million voters, the world's largest democratic exercise begins.
Good evening, Shubhendu. Well, exactly. That's but this time around, a bit of a different is that this time around the entire summer season is going to be polling season. So it's going to be, the political parties and political leaders sweating it out in the hot sun, because this time around the voting is going to take place till the 1st of June, which means there are 2 phases in the month of April, 4 in the month of May, and 1 in the month of June, with the big judgment day or counting day on the 4th of June. So it's going to be very long summer, especially for the political parties and the political leaders in the fray, who are going to, travel the length and breadth of the country, trying to make every vote count in their pursuit to win this particular electoral battle.
All eyes also on the Election Commission, Anil, to conduct these mega elections. How do you read the measures in place to ensure that these 970 million people eligible to vote also come out and exercise their franchise?
Well, it's been a great effort there by the Election Commission, looking at the mammoth task that they have right in front of them. If you look at the topography of India, it's very difficult. On one end you have, purely in terms of area, the largest seat, if one would look at, that comes in Ladakh, to the smallest seat that comes in Delhi's Chandni Chowk. So it's a huge Herculean task to put things together for an election like this. Getting it conducted once again in 7 phases. This time around there's been a bit of delay purely in the way the Election Commission announces the dates. If you look at the last 2 elections when dates were announced, it was very much early. This time almost 6 days delay when it comes to the dates being announced. And for the first time the elections voting as well as counting being shifted or being pushed into the month of June clearly indicates that there is a huge task on hand for the Election Commission, and they have tried everything possible to make it a free and fair elections. There were many question marks being raised about the EVM machines, it coming into the court many a times. The Election Commissioner was very clear, every step being taken for it to be free and fair. Lot of efforts, lot of lessons that they have learned over the last 11 to 12 state elections that have taken place in the country, and every valuable lesson that they have picked being put to use here in this biggest election of all, that's the 2024 elections in India. And the Election Commission leaving no stone unturned in making it a fruitful election, to make every vote that people vote for, to count for the people and for the parties in the fray.
Anil, you mentioned EVMs, which is quite at the heart of the electoral process in the country. And in the press conference that we all saw, Election Commission also presented a book which sort of documents all the legal tests that EVMs had to go through, and it had gone through successfully, and adding to the confidence of the voters and the political parties in the machine.
Well, that's true. If one takes a look at the EVM machines, undergoing the test of time over the years, almost 40 cases that have been filed that the Election Commission himself spoke about during the briefing that he had with the media, and questions time and again, even from the press, circulated around the EVM machines and the doubts that were raised around it. The Election Commission was once again very clear that now even courts are fed up of listening to cases that have been, courts or petitions that have been lined up with regards to the EVM machines, and there have been fines imposed by various courts across many parts of India when it comes to these kind of cases that have been cropped up, or these kind of petitions that have been cropped up with regards to the with regards to the EVM machine. The Election Commissioner was very clear: it's foolproof, it's safe, and people should trust that the Election Commission is leaving no stone unturned in making it a memorable election for everyone who's casting his vote for the first time, or for that matter, many people who have almost crossed 100 years but still look forward to voting in this particular dance for democracy that India witnesses, because he said Indian elections are a poll star in this particular election year, where we see almost the entire world, 8 countries, at least 8 countries, 8 important countries, they're going to the polls in this particular election year. And not only that, many countries across the globe taking part in this this democratic process. And the Election Commissioner once again was very clear when he talked about the EVM machines and the question marks that have been raised about it. He said it's time for political parties on either side of the fence to believe that the Election Commission and the EVM machines are totally foolproof, and it can stand the test of time.
And the greater attention, at least for today, Anil, would be the magnitude of the electoral process. We discussed 970 million eligible voters. There are going to be some 1 million polling stations across the country as well. Even in comparison to the earlier elections in India, say 2019, how does the 2024 offer the magnitude and the complexities involved, the most challenging elections ahead?
Well, exactly. You put it rightly. Purely in terms of challenge, it's one Herculean task. In terms of numbers, 98.6 crore voters, that are going to go in different phases to cast their polls. 49.7 crore male voters and 47.1 crore female voters. That's not all purely in terms of numbers that the Election Commission was speaking about. 55 lakh EVMs that could be used, 1.5 crore polling officers that will be used, and 10.5 lakh polling stations that are going to be used. So purely in terms of numbers, it's a big task getting this organized, letting during from one phase to another phase, letting all these move from one state to another. That's not all. There are 4 states that are going for assembly elections simultaneously along with the Lok Sabha elections. 3 in the east, one is Odisha, Andhra Pradesh along with Sikkim, and 1 down south, Andhra Pradesh, that goes to the polls. So it's a huge task, shifting things from one state to another, managing processes, also keeping those 4 M's that the Election Commissioner spoke about: muscle, money, misinformation, and the MCC. That's the moral code of conduct that time and again being tried to be violated. And it's a huge task, keeping these 4 things under check: muscle, money, along with misinformation and the MCC violations. So all in all, it's a huge task to conduct these elections. And I think you got to give full marks to the way lessons that have been learned. And I think the Election Commission was very right in saying that gold standards have been set when it comes to conducting elections by the Election Commission, and we can look forward to another round of general elections, which could be fair and which could be even for all the parties in the fray.
Right. And Anil, finally, with the dates announced, all eyes on the campaigning season that will begin. Of course, the model code of conduct that you mentioned, if you could just in brief explain to our viewers what entails from here.
Well, from here on, once the dates are announced, the model code of conduct comes into play. No political party, no political announcements can be made. And purely from here on, every political party, just as the dates were announced, every political party almost took to social media to indicate that they are ready, geared up for the elections. And I think it's the hot summer that these political parties and political leaders are going to face. So you're going to see a lot of twists and turns, especially down south, where it becomes very difficult during this particular season to campaign. You'll see campaigns being shifted more to the morning and later to the later part of the evening, different kinds of campaigns that would come into play, looking at the hot summer that these political leaders would have to face. That's not all purely in terms of the Election Commission, the steps that have been taken. The Election Commission has been very right to say that they are looking to reduce repolls, keep things very much under control. There has to be zero violence, that they are trying especially to keep things under check, especially in the 3 states which will see polls across the 7 phases of elections. That's Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, along with West Bengal. So the Election Commission doing everything possible. That's not all. Even in people displaced, especially in Manipur, in those relief camps, would have an option of wherever they are in those relief camps, they can vote from there. So remote voting will be allowed for people in Manipur as well as people in Jammu and Kashmir. That's not all. For the first time, though, it's clearly been indicated that journalists too who would be covering the elections would be given the benefit to either do remote voting or postal ballot opportunities will be given to them. But we'll have to wait and watch. There's still not an official word about it. The election commissioner, the chief election commissioner, did indicate that's very much possible, and he would see to it that even journalists today in this elections would get an opportunity to cast their vote.
Anil, appreciate you joining us with those updates.